pertaining to the bill list?
No.
It seems like we had a meeting a couple weeks ago. We sure have an extensive amount of bills here to pay. I actually do not have any issues. I have no issues. I think the bill
Anyone
list
else have any issues?
it speaks for itself. Does anybody have any questions pertaining to the bill list? If not, I'll make the necessary motion to approve the bill list in the amount of $24,435.04.
Second.
So I hear no issues. I need a roll call, please.
Mr. Dilch,
Yes.
Mr. Olson,
Yes.
Ms. Owen,
Yes.
Ms. Sparks,
Yes.
Mayor Vanessa.
Yes. Joe, we have your correspondence, but for some reason I do not have any correspondence that was given to me. So,
I do.
We skipped open public comment on agenda items.
well, open public comment on agenda items. Randy, I think that when we did our reorganization, that we were going to have on a special meeting, one open public session, and that was for the end of the meeting.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just
Okay, thank
looking.
you. So this is a mistake here that got on here. So it's just an oversight on our clerk's
My
part.
fault.
Okay,
Okay, Joe, that's okay, Joe. We'll forgive you this time. We have, moving down to resolution 35, 2021, cancellation of outstanding checks. I did not receive that, Joe. I have no hard copy from that.
Well, we had it last meeting, but what you asked me for was who they were.
So, did you have a list of that you were gonna give to the council?
It's only 7, so I was just gonna name them all.
Go ahead and name them all.
Okay, $30 for South Jersey, National Institute of Governmental Purchasing. That may have been a voided check, $1,803.50 for Municipal Emergency Services. I'm not for sure what that is, but I believe it was a replacement check for fire equipment. $300 Ocean City, High School Varsity Soccer, that was a replacement check. Grace Monero, $1,095. We had a check for that, but we did take it off, so we weren't going to go and pay that. And $3 for the Treasurer of New Jersey. That's probably some type of dog license, I believe. On the payroll, it was $90.86 for Peter Boker. He was a part-time employee back in July of 2019.
How much is that amount for?
$90.86.
And we're canceling that?
Yeah. And then $238.42, that was made out to London Kent in December, but was never taken care of cash, so they're the outstanding checks.
So, I guess, those are all resolved, so we need to do this by resolution, correct?
It's truly just a house cleaning type resolution that we.
I make the necessary motion to approve resolution 35. Is there a second?
I have a question.
Well, make a second and then we'll have the question open up for discussion.
Okay.
Second.
Discussion.
So if we have those checks to employees, like, the Peter, I'm sorry, I don't remember the last name, and Mrs. Kent, you're gonna cancel them even though they haven't been paid?
Well, yeah, because of the time factor, but also that we can also reissue these and have a newer date on it, so there won't be any issues, should we go that route.
Okay, thank you.
I make the necessary motion. There was a second. If there's no further questions, we should probably do roll call on this one here.
Mr. Dilch,
Yes.
Mr. Olson,
Yes.
Ms. Owen,
No.
Ms. Sparks? Ms. Sparks?
Yes.
Mayor Vanessa?
Yes. Did you, get Mr. Olson?
Yes.
Okay. Moving down the line here, we've already done, resolution 41, I believe. 42. We're going to hold that at this time. Ms. Blumenthal has an emergency situation tonight that she's not able to attend this meeting. So she asked if we can hold this until we have our next meeting. We have old business here, and we have a cell tower that's on this discussion. So I'm not sure who has to put this on here, but who is the curator of this curiosity here?
We discussed this in closed list. I mean, as it relates to the prior agenda, it was my idea. I asked the clerk to include it. And we discussed it in closed, I believe. I don't know what we resolved, though. I mean, we haven't gone into the open to resolve the matter of the cell tower, the interest of those who would,
My recollection is that we
Put a
decided
premium
just to
value
simply do
on it.
nothing. I think my recollection is that we decided to do nothing, that, it was just best to leave it alone. Randy, would you say that that's about accurate?
That sort of is my recollection too.
Okay, thank you.
so then,
Moving-
no, Mayor, it's not as simple as that. We have an obligation as courtesy, if nothing else, to reach out to the interested parties we've strung along for all this time to tell them we're not interested at this time. Who's going to do that? Who's going to write those letters?
That's generally always done by the city clerk. The city clerk is the one that's authorized to do that.
So then are you instructing the clerk to do that, or are you just gonna leave these people hanging?
I'm not hanging anybody, Mr. Dilch. I'm not hanging anybody. You just keep on putting words into my mouth that I just don't say. I'm not hanging
I
anybody.
haven't put any words in your mouth. I said, are you going to leave them hanging? I didn't say
Judd,
you're
would you
hanging
please,
them.
Judd, would you please send a letter to the,
We have
one
active
entity or the
discussion
both
with these people.
entities? Excuse me, I'm speaking. Please send a letter to the one or two entities that have made some inquiries about our cell tower and just say, council's discussed the issue and we've decided that at this time, we're gonna take no action. Thank you for your interest.
Thank you.
Moving down the line here, we have, snowstorm contractors. Mrs. Owen, I would assume that you've asked to have this, placed on the agenda. Do you have further clarification on this?
No, I actually wanted to know what you had found out about the snow plower. You said you were in talks with the county to have us borrow a truck from them?
I did, and the county has, said that they are not able to do that at this time. Mr. Formica indicated they have all this equipment, but they don't have any to spare.
Oh, okay.
They have none to spare. But while we're discussing that issue, if you don't mind me saying, I'm just gonna make this rather very, very brief. In talking to the Director of Public Works today, Greg Brookins, they just took off a pickup truck off the road. And he said, and I quote, that the vehicle is still very roadworthy. They took it off because of high mileage. And they're going to give Estell Manor an opportunity. They're gonna come up with a price of what they want, and they're gonna give us an opportunity if we wanna buy it or not. I will say this, a long time ago, back in the year 1999, we bought a truck off the county for $200, and that truck lasted us, 15 years. So I can tell you, one of the things that I happen to know factually, the county very, very vigorously maintains any and all of their equipment. They have a full staff of just simply those that work on the equipment. I can assure you that this truck here has been well taken care of over the years, oil change, whatever has been needed for it. So if they come up with a price and it's acceptable to this council, we probably should take them up on that offer. If that's what council would choose to do. Next, moving down the line here, we have assignment duties of committees. I think that this issue has already been stated. I've already sent in an email in the past. I don't know why we just keep on going round and round and round on this here. I mean, I don't know why.
No, Mr. Mayor, at our last not our last meeting, the meeting before that, we requested in writing from you that you would give us a list of duties, the requirements and responsibilities for each of the committees, so we would have it to know what we're responsible for.
Okay, and
And
as I
I'm
have,
not, excuse me, I'm not done talking.
very good.
You stated at that time that you would do that for us, but you have not done that, and you keep giving it all, you've given me the runaround saying, go check here, go check there. You need to stand behind your word and give us that list and requirements.
So when I was put on the spot that night when you asked me, and as I have thought about this, I contacted Hamilton Township. Their business administrator is the one who puts together the language as to what they have as their direction with regards to a committee. I spoke to a couple other municipalities. They have no such information that they could offer. And quite frankly, as one person put it, you get on city council, you get assigned to a committee, you can create whatever you think is what's best for this committee. And that's what being on council is all about, being creative, trying to produce something that's gonna work for the community. And either the public will accept it or they don't, okay? But it's not my responsibility. And I will
So
repeat, it is not
as
my
the leader-
responsibility. No, Mrs. Owen, we have to stop.
No,
We have
I
to stop with the accusations. It's not my response, it's not my responsibility.
Also,
It's not
You
my
are
responsibility.
you
I'm
are
already
res-
talking. There you go. You're just trying to interrupt me. It's not my responsibility to have to put together a list of assignments as to what each committee is supposed to do or not do. That is for you to try to come up with a very clever way of whatever committees that you're assigned to, that's what you're going to do. It's very broad-based. I mean, I remember a while back when the Recreation Committee was established, you know, it was thought of to have Blackwell as part of that. It was also thought of to have soccer teams or volleyball teams, you know, and a member of council would do that. Become creative. Don't depend entirely of everything on me. You become creative with your thinking about how you can enhance that committee. It should not be me trying to tell you how to enhance. That is
so
your
now it's my
responsibility, not
turn. Now it's my turn.
Go
So
ahead.
I also reached out to several neighboring neighboring cities, and I asked them about their committees and if they have anything like that. And I did 3, and I was told that they don't have that many committees, so they don't have any kind of duties or anything like that in writing, so I could see that. And you are the leader of the city, so you are responsible for that. If you created the committees, then you are the leader and able to tell me what my responsibilities are to be. And seeing how I was fired from Public Works because you didn't like something, I don't want to take the chance of disappointing you again. So I need in writing what I'm required to do.
I'm being placed under attack, so I'm being disappointed already. I'm sorry. But, you know, Mrs. Owen, I don't know why, but you have just been dwelling on this subject for the last year and some months, okay? And it's just going nowhere. Please, you have some committees to work with. Please be creative with what you think is what's going to be best. It's not for me to put together a description.
So then you're
Northfield-
saying that I
Northfield-
have no chance of getting fired again? You're saying that I have no chance of being reprimanded for doing something that you don't agree with?
You were not
Because if I
reprimanded.
create it, it's okay.
I'm not satisfied with your public safety stance as it relates within the Public Works Department, and that's why I felt it was best. Okay?
Well,
And-
public safety and public works were 2 different things, and you didn't
both
fire
go-
me from public safety, you
They
fired me
go
from
hand,
public
they go
works.
hand in hand. We
They
need
were
to
2
have a-
different committees.
We need to have a truck, and you thought it's more important to put doors on a building.
Oh,
Then
so
to
my
open it-
Oh,
decision,
no,
you wanna
Mayor,
hold
now
me
you're
accountable.
wrong. Now
Right,
you
you
are
wanna
dead
hold me.
wrong.
This is why our meetings are not being productive when we just drag on and on, because you want
Because
to
you
dwell
didn't
on the
like
same.
how I voted.
I got an idea. Let's have a special meeting, and we're just gonna talk about nothing but committees.
We can
That's
talk
fine.
about it right now.
Okay, well then, you know something? When you're done talking about it, let me know, and then I'll join the meeting again, because we're not going
We
anywhere.
can't, we have to have your input. You
You don't
exercise
have
your
to have
authority
my
to
in- Mr.
displace
Bilge.
people that you put on committees because you're not satisfied with their performance, but you totally disregard your responsibility to instruct.
I
Right
did not
now, I have
disregard
no
any of my
instruction for any- there you go,
responsibility. Mr.
interrupting
Bilge,
again.
you're
Please allow
doing
me
this
to
for
finish.
political
Right now, I
purposes,
have
and I
no
get it.
instruction for any committee upon which you've assigned me.
Okay.
So I will follow that instruction and do nothing
That's-
until
you'll do
you've
best.
created an instruction.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to say that, you knew that this was gonna be an issue. You knew we were gonna talk about this one tonight. Prior with conversation you and I had on the phone, you said, all the years you've been a mayor, this is the only council that has a problem with the committees. And you asked me, why is that? And I gave you 2 answers. I said, one is because when you asked me to come on council, I told you I didn't know nothing about council, and you said you would guide me. And all you did was throw me on committees, 2 I'm chair of. I don't know what they are. I'm not creative enough, I guess. And then I told you the other reason why we need to have a thing is because you fired Betsy, so she needs to know where she fell short. But my point being is, You know that this is an issue for us. You stated that, like this council for some reason has a problem with committees. Knowing that, and knowing tonight you were coming to this meeting, you should have the mindset to say, you know what? Let me give them something. Let me give them a little bit of structure, and then we could build from there. But your mindset coming into the meeting is you're going to tell us how bad we are, how we're not creative enough, how we have to find out things, instead of just taking that initiative to just start us on our way. Start me on my way. I got senior citizens when it's snow. I'm like, am I supposed to call them or something? I don't know. I'm like, am I? I don't know. And it would have been nice knowing, coming to this meeting, we were going to talk about it. You could think that I'm being a pain in the butt about this, or Mrs. Owens is being a pain in the butt about this, but you knew that we're going to be a pain in the butt about this, so why don't you throw us a bone and give us a start? I just don't understand.
I just honestly
Instead
don't know
of
how to
keep going to meeting and meeting and
respond.
meeting and meeting and fighting in the same fight.
I don't know how to
We're on the same
respond,
route.
but I don't know how to respond to you, because I just really don't know what you
Give
want.
us a start. Lead us. You're our mayor. And if you can't do that, then there's a problem. You're our leader. I don't know where I'm going.
To be clear, Mr. Mayor, I have not a problem serving on any committee as long as I know what my duties are and my requirement and my responsibilities are.
I think you should discuss that with Mr. Lafferty as well, because this is starting into a legal matter here. If you need to know what your responsibilities are, then you should ask the solicitor.
This is not a legal matter.
No.
You're the leader, lead us.
Mr. Dilch, no matter what I've been doing, you've basically been running this town by yourself, and you have the control of council.
I'm running the town?
You've alienated me with employees and with the council. I mean, you've achieved with what you wanted to do, so why don't you just continue doing what you're doing? Because it seems to be
Can
working
you
out
just
right.
lead us? That's what I'm saying. We don't want to lead into an
It either
argument.
seems to be
We just
working
want to
out
get
very
lit.
well for you, or
We're
it's not
looking for
working out very well.
leadership, Mayor. That's
And your
all.
leadership has not
Leadership.
impressed me, Mr. Dilch. It hasn't.
He's
You know,
not the leader.
So
You come into our meetings,
instruction?
you come into our meetings, setting the building on fire, and then you expect me to just simply sit here and take it, okay? It doesn't work that way.
Mr. Mayor, the problem is anytime we ask the question of you, we're automatically, I'm quite frankly, I am surprised you haven't thrown down your pen and said to how we treat you. I mean, that's what we always go into, and you make it personal. It's not personal. It is
Well,
not personal, it's
All you
professional.
gotta do is just review the tapes, and you can see how council talks to me like I'm just junk.
I'm not
You know,
asking you,
how would you like it
because,
if I treated you that way?
because you knew that this was gonna be an issue. Why don't you start doing, why don't you start? Just help us out. Give us step one, step two. Tell me, like, am I on the senior thing? How do I go about it? Why can't you call me and let me know, like, hey, this is gonna be talked about, this is your duty, instead of all your conversations to me are, what's wrong? Why didn't you vote?
I'm
the
always
way I
getting
wanted you to
accused
vote?
on the phone.
That's
It's
all I
like-
get.
If I'm getting accused, what's the sense in even having conversations?
I'm not asking you to play the martyr either. I'm asking you for a direction. That's all I want, Joe. Just want some direction. I want to do the best that I can.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you right now, I know we're not going to get resolved tonight because you don't have an outline. But next meeting, we're probably going to talk about this again. I would, if I was the mayor, I would start thinking of things I could start telling Julie that she could do. And, you know, I'd start telling Betsy some things that she could do, and Nat and Mr. Diligent. Just start. Make it a start. Just start somewhere. Start.
That
Like
may be a
with
good
the
idea.
snowplow, I'm like, who does that? I don't know. I know there's a lot of responsibilities on you, but that's your job to send them out to us. I didn't know what was going on with the snowstorm. I had no clue. I saw things. I'm like,
Well, what I'm gonna say right now, I'd make absolutely no apology for whatsoever. But the bulk of my time that I spend with the city is always trying to find out what pot of money is available, how to go about implementing it, and what would be best for the city, okay? That is where I spend the bulk of my time at, and that is where my creativity lies. I mean, I was one of the first to find out about this LEAP grant. Mr. Lafferty could probably assure you the amount of time that I've put into this here, okay? I put in well over 40 hours just last week on the phone.
So,
It seems like every day I have to charge my phone. at
and that's
least twice.
great. You know where you're
I
going,
have to
but I
charge my
don't.
phone twice, taking care of city business, you know? And now I have to take care of what the members of the council don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say, Julie. I just really don't. I put a lot of good time into the city here, trying to bring back the bacon for our community, you know? And I think that if we really
Can I say this much?
if we move forward on this leap thing here,
I would
this
say
is a
this
home
much,
run hit.
the phone conversations, you took the time to talk with me, instead of arguing with me, those conversations and asking me how I can't understand you right, and things like that, like the kind of crazy things that you say to me, instead of wasting that time there, why don't you take the time to tell me something that would be helpful to me?
Well, I guess
Like,
for
help
every
me.
action, there's always a
And then,
reaction.
instead I get told things like that I'm not agreeing with you, we're after you. And instead of wasting my time that way, why don't you tell me something more productive for me on these phone conversations?
As long as
Instead
you
of-
don't,
Instead of what's the plot against you?
as long as you don't make wild accusations that I want to
I
get a
didn't
truck
make
right.
wild accusations.
So I can, I mean, the one accusation, I want to get a truck so I can go back and forth to Trenton with it. I mean, are you kidding?
Yeah, I
With a dump
really
truck,
kind of agree with that one. I would have to say, I think that's true. I don't,
with a dump truck, I'm gonna go back.
No,
and forth
I don't think she's talking about the dump truck, Mayor. She's talking about a Tahoe. And we all have a question. What are we gonna do with a Tahoe?
We had the ability
That is an
not to
odd
build,
request. You must admit that's an odd request. What are we gonna do with a Tahoe?
that was for the Homeland Security grant that we were gonna get, and that would have belonged into the hands of the emergency management, Mr. Dilge. That would have also
To do
belonged into
what?
the hand. And
A
I have no
Tahoe?
intention, and I have no intentions to want to take that truck and use it for personal use. So you can paint this narrative all you want, and you can try, which is what you've been doing at every meeting. You want me to just simply collapse before your Royal Highness, Mr. Dilge, and you know something?
Stop attacking me.
It's
Stop attacking me.
Let's go.
Don't
that's what
interrupt
I'm
me from-
saying.
It's not going to help you.
Don't interrupt. Help you? I don't need your help.
It is not going to help you.
Okay, can we move on to number 4, the ordinance for code update? Maybe, Ms. Casagraham is on that, out there to help us with that.
Mrs. Cobbs, are you there to discuss this?
Let me help Mr. Graham. As I've sent that out to everybody, you should have all gotten it. The proposed ordinance and the proposed changes. Did you all get that?
Yes.
Yes.
So what I'm suggesting and what Mrs. Casagrande is suggesting is that at our next meeting, we adopt for first reading an ordinance effectuating those changes, so that we can then go to a public hearing at the following meeting in order to implement those changes. In that window, we need to send the proposed ordinance to the planning board so that they can comment on it. And I think there's a meeting of the planning board between our March and April meetings.
That would be correct.
So that works fine. I can get that letter out. I didn't want to send it out prematurely because I didn't know what council's pleasure was. But once the ordinance is adopted on first reading, we will then send it to the planning board for their comment, and hopefully it'll be ready for second reading at our April meeting.
And then it gets adopted at that point if that's what council chooses to do. And then we would then proceed to move forward to have a printout of a booklet so that we can have it for our members.
As I understand, I'm sorry, Mayor, as I understand from Mrs. Casagrande, you already have received the hard copies of the new code. It should be in City Hall.
You have that?
5 beautiful copies of the code books are at City Hall. I've been shouting, please come and look at them and touch them and be proud of them.
Mrs. Casagrande speaks from the heavens.
Yes, she does, and she did a remarkable job. Anybody that was involved in doing this put a lot of good time and effort into it to achieve and bring fruit to the table, and we are all appreciative of it.
So you've all had a chance to look at the changes. You've seen them all along the way. Mrs. Casagrande has been copiously reporting to the council on the changes and getting feedback on the changes, and all that hard work has come into these new volumes that you have. that Mrs. Casagreen made sure was personally delivered to you.
Thank you.
We have a PDF version of the code, of the new code. And what I'm going to suggest is that once we introduce the resolution, at the same time that we send it to the planning board, we also put on our website a link to the new code so that the public can access it and review it, so that they'll be prepared if they so choose to make comments at the public hearing in April. So that's the plan, Mr. Mayor, and that's where the project stands. I don't know if I missed anything, Mrs. Casagreen, but feel free to chime in.
Well, thank you. I'm eager to put something in the quarterly for the people that don't go online and have a plan for them to be able to review one of the documents at City Hall if they would so choose. And I've spoken with the mayor about that, so I'm hoping that can work well.
And Randy, you say that at the March meeting is when we'll be introducing this on first reading, correct?
Yes,
Is what you recommend? Thank
that's
you.
what I'm recommending.
Okay.
And I recommend, although we're not required to actually put the PDF version on the website or even make it available, I'm recommending that we make it available as we normally would with any ordinance, and that we make it available at City Hall for inspection and review.
Okay. We have old business number 5, which is the landfill. I'm not sure who has requested to have this placed on there.
I did.
Okay.
So in finishing where we were last week, I have given some thought to where we left it last week, and I wasn't satisfied really with my level of confidence in the council. All of council would be included in landfill matters moving into the future, given the secrecy mandated by you through the year 2020 for the landfill committee, and the fact that, please don't interrupt me, Mayor, and the fact that you have assigned yourself and yourself alone to the committee. Mayor, are you going to allow me to speak?
Not when you're making false narratives about me.
That's what you instruct. You and I were the committee. You instructed me not to
Mr.
speak to
Dilge.
anyone about the meeting with Pinelands and Mr. Dye. That
Mr.
was your
Dilge.
instruction.
Mr. Dilge,
That's why I brought it up in
can
December.
you conduct yourself like a councilman rather than
Are
a
you going to allow
child?
me to finish? Are you going to allow me to speak? Furthermore, this year you've assigned yourself and yourself alone as the landfill committee, which means, for me, opens the door to far greater opportunity for things to happen, for there to be mandates regarding the landfill or sensitive issues regarding the landfill that would never be conveyed to council, that we would never be made aware of. So
It's
I
all
make a
open to the
motion
public.
that I'm speaking, I'm making a motion, if you don't mind, Mayor. I make a motion that council would resolve that all communication between Mr. Dye and his firm would be in writing and with all 5 members of council concurrently, and that he would never communicate with the mayor alone for the calendar year 2021. May I get a second, please?
Second.
Randy, you want to tell me about the legalities of that? I mean, honestly, Mr. Dilge, in so many words, is disparaging my credibility, disparaging my character, and quite frankly, I have the right to speak to anybody. Just like when I speak to you, Randy, I have the right to speak to you. You cannot say, no, you can't speak to anybody anymore unless there's another person present. What are we coming down to? Are you kidding? So I'll tell you what, Mr. Dilge, I don't want you talking to Randy anymore unless I'm a part of that conversation. I don't want you talking to any of our employees unless I'm a part of that conversation. Where does this stop? I'm the
All you
mayor
gotta
of
do
town.
is
I've
get
got the
council to
authority
vote in
speak to
support of those
anybody I'd like
assertions. Are you gonna let Mr. Lafferty answer the questions you've asked him?
Well, first of all, I'm not going to comment on disparagement or non-disparagement. I'm not going there. As far as communications relative to contractual relations with the consultant, I mean, frankly, I think Mr. Dilge and the rest of council, if they so choose, have the right to be included in that information. That's a contractual arrangement with a vendor, and if they so choose to be included, I believe that it's not an employer-employee situation. This is a consultant and client situation. And I'll also say that when I communicate with you folks, almost always I include either the president of council or all of council. And I want to make it clear, I represent the city. I do not represent individuals. And I've told each one of you that at one point or another. And I hope I haven't offended you by saying that, but the minute I cross that line, I become in conflict. And I'm not going to put myself in that position. So, in answer to your question, Mayor, I think